Pleased to be joined by Steve Kyler, the editor and publisher for Basketball Insiders there on the floor of MSG. Steve, thanks for joining us. First and foremost, the Knicks so far this season. How is this chemistry experiment working out from your view?
Well, it's been rough. I mean, I don't think there's a nice way to put it, that this is a group that was supposed to be a contender. They were supposed to come out and just really run and play loose, and they've been anything but that. They've had some moments. Certainly I think Carmelo's been okay, and certainly Kristaps Porzingis has been really good. But, this team has been dreadful defensively, and there are just nights that they don't look like they know how to play with each other.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that it looks like Carmelo offensively has been just about as good as ever, at least efficiently. But people wonder, Porzingis, Carmelo, whose team is this? What's that tug-of-war look like? Are they better off when those two are sharing the front court and they don't have a traditional big up there with them? How's that whole dynamic working out so far?
Well, the one thing is with a Porzingis, you're talking about an incredibly unselfish player that's not even remotely concerned about whose team it is. I think that's sometimes more of a media narrative. But, what you're seeing is, as you mentioned, they're better when they're smaller. They're faster when they're smaller. They're more efficient when they're smaller. And, I think they're still trying to figure some things out. This Knicks team had a team meeting where they kind of aired, their grievances, if you will, and really talked about the way they want to play. This team really wants to play more pick-and-roll basketball, wants to do more pick-and-pop type shooting stuff, and that's just really not what Phil Jackson had kind of envisioned with this team. So this is a team that's still very much trying to figure themselves out, but the two guys that are going to lead the way are absolutely Porzingis and Carmelo, and when the two of them are on the floor together is when the Knicks genuinely play their best basketball.
Yeah, and so that's the front court, and you talked about kind of the offense where Phil Jackson has tried to impose his will when it comes to the triangle offense over the last couple of years, and you've got Jeff Hornacek there now. Derrick Rose has been an outspoken critic of wanting to do things outside of the triangle. How's that going to shake out? Are they really only going to be able to move on with this thing when Phil Jackson decides to call it quits, or can they make it work with Phil Jackson leading the way and kind of backing off the whole triangle idea?
Well, at least for now, we're talking about backing off the triangle a little bit and doing things that are more natural. Derrick Rose is a very good pick-and-roll player. His game is about dribble penetration and get to the front of the rim. Trying to do a lot of movement and actions just doesn't play to Derrick's strengths, and I don't think he's looked good in the situation. And then you talk about guys like Courtney Lee, who I think Courtney could play in almost any situation, but you're talking about somebody who's more of a perimeter-oriented player whose best skills are on the defensive side. And in some nights, he's handling the ball more than Derrick Rose. So they've got to figure some of that out. I think the biggest problems for them are going to be kind of how do you play on the perimeter and really what style do you play. I think you're going to see a lot more pick and roll tonight.
Funny, the other night, Marshall Plumlee, the third Plumlee brother, makes his NBA debut, and it was a crazy set of circumstances that saw him get called up the day of the game on Sunday, have to race from Westchester down into the city, was late for tip-off as he tried to make his way through the train and then a cab and all this other stuff, calling up his older brother Mason with the Blazers saying, I don't know what's going on here, if they're going to be upset with me for missing tip-off. Do you expect Marshall to be playing here tonight, or was he basically a guy who's a fringe player who's mostly going to spend his time in the D-League here over the span of the season?
Well, we'll see on the long term, but in the immediate term, I do think you're going to see him. He was called up because of injuries along the front court. They'd started Kyle O'Quinn in that game. And, the thing about Marshall is that he's a utility player, and I think he can play in this league. I think that it's just a matter of time before he's playing a roster or has a roster spot in the NBA. We'll see how long the Knicks tenure is, but it really was planes, trains, and automobiles to get him in the building. Fortunately, they didn't misspell his name on the back of his jersey.
Finally, Lillard makes the marquee, obviously, in Portland as a big-time star out here. How does he play in New York City? Does it carry? Has he made a name for himself through his marketing efforts and his play on the court to really garner the attention at MSG of a star in this league?
Yeah, Damian is absolutely a star in this league, and the fact that he's becoming a hip-hop mogul on the side just only endears himself more to a city that's really ingrained that way. Damian's one of those guys that's a show every time he touches the ball, and the fact that he's really trying to play at an MVP level this year. When you talk about a Knicks team that's not incredibly fun to watch, the show tonight is going to be Damian Lillard, and certainly the way that he can push and press, really kind of sets a tone that maybe the Knicks aren't going to be able to guard. This could be a really big night for Damian. This is one of those nights where he could maybe put up 50.
Steve Kyler, editor and publisher of Basketball Insiders. You can check out his coverage of the league as well as the rest of the people that work for him at basketballinsiders.com. Thank you.